Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Today, marketing. Marketing. What does they say? Marketing everywhere. But so many people doing it wrong. And, you know, when I say that, I don't mean that people don't, are dumb about their marketing. They just don't understand. There's a lot of confusion, especially in the world of online marketing, internet marketing. That the term has become so ubiquitous, and it means different things to different people. And quite often times it's, people don't get the full story, or they don't get the full impact of what real marketing is. Too many people, I think, focus on the internet part, the technical part, and not enough on the marketing part. Well, today, our guest gets that. In fact, he is known as Mr. Marketology. And I think that's just the most appropriate name for him, because he understands that the marketing is a complete recipe, and things like the technical side, the SEO, the social media, those are all just ingredients in that recipe, but they have to be put together in the right way, very purposefully, to actually get a meaningful outcome. So I would like to welcome Mr. Marketology, Jeff Beale, to Influencers Radio. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Jack, for having me.
Well, you know what? I got to say, some of the things that we talked about, and, you really brought it to light, and it really makes sense. And you simplified a lot of the concepts. And I think, that's one of the things that you told me, that a lot of your clients and the businesses that you help, one of the first things that they say or they notice is how you simplify a lot of this stuff. And it kind of stems from your background, that you have background in both sides, on the technical side and on the business side, which is fairly rare. I think anybody that works in a corporate environment or a larger company understands that a lot of the times those two sides of the fence are very foreign to each other. Would you characterize that as something pretty common in bigger companies or corporate worlds, that there's a kind of a communication block sometimes that may stem or be the root of a lot of causes of problems in the internet marketing?
Yes, and across all marketing, a lot of times the actual technical team or those technicians, they don't understand the overall goal. And the executives, they have the big picture, but they may not understand the intricate details of it. And so the disconnect would be both are looking at different goals. Both are looking at what's in it for them as far as the approach to the goals, which are different. And so the disconnect is there. And it's amazing. I sometimes come to work with clients, and let's say they're having a website built. Well, to be honest, when you're looking at the business side, they're looking at the website needs to be up. We need to have X amount of traffic, which converts to X amount of sales. Well, if you're talking to the web developers, they're looking at how long is it going to take me to build this? How creative can I be? And do I have to work any overtime over the weekend? So it's total different approaches. So when the business wants something put on the site, they may get pushback from the developers because the developers don't want to spend the time, or the developers want to put something cool on the site, and the business don't see the need for anything flashy or cool because they don't see how it's going to convert into any type of sales. So bridging those gaps would be something that is very, I would say, sensitive, and you approach very lightly, but it's something that's necessary. And if you can bridge those gaps and get each team to play together, and understand the difference, but also the overall goal of the company, then you can accomplish a goal that makes both teams proud.
You know, I think that right there is why Mr. Marketology is so appropriate. And you know, kind of reminds me of the chemist that puts all the different, pieces together. Or I think about, when you think about going to a symphony, the orchestra, you have, the horn section, the string section, the percussion section, all of them are very good at what they do. But they don't necessarily play their instruments the same. And it takes a conductor to come in and turn it into that final product of a symphony. And so, Mr. Marketology, I think is, you overcame that very quickly, that when you first started talking to companies, when they would say like, oh, well, we have an SEO department, or we have a web development department. And, you're able to say to them, well, fantastic, because that's not what I do, but those are the very instrumental in the final outcome of what we put together for a complete marketing plan. Did you find that was something that was hard for companies to get their head around at first, before they really understood the impact that you could bring by bringing these groups together?
It has been a challenge up front. A lot of times, getting their heads around the fact that everyone plays a part. They play a position, just like on a football team. Everybody can't be quarterback, and everybody's not a wide receiver. So everyone plays their part, and everybody has pride in their position, and they want to do the best at their position. So getting everyone on board, understanding that there is a marketing mix, there is an actual strategy, and getting everyone to play their part to the best of their abilities. Initially, it's a challenge. Usually, it's a challenge initially, but after they start seeing some results, you have some use cases, then they start understanding that this isn't my team against your team. We're all the same team. And what I help do is help each one understand how their part plays a major part in another team's effectiveness in the overall scheme, and vice versa. And then when they start seeing working together works better than working in silos, usually everyone starts to feel better about it. They start bringing ideas. I definitely encourage you to bring ideas, because the idea might not be a good idea now, but might be a good idea later on in the marketing mix. But if you're so focused on your department, your team, and in a silo, you don't even see that far down the road. So, once we get over that hurdle, the rest really becomes seamless.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we talked about earlier was that, a company may come to you thinking they have one problem, and ultimately the problem is what we're doing isn't working. But they kind of like people try to self-diagnose before they go to the doctor. Here's what I think the problem is. And, you've had people that come to you and say, we think the problem is our SEO team isn't really being effective because we're not getting the kind of engagement that we thought we were going to do. They're not, doing what they're supposed to do. And sometimes you very quickly uncover that, no, your SEO team is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. The problem is the message that they're seeing isn't right yet, or isn't fully developed. And rather than, working with their SEO team, it's something that you may go in with their marketing staff to help flesh that out. And rather than spending money and spinning their wheels on, working harder on the SEO, which could be fine. Is it pretty easy for you to quickly identify kind of where that breakdown is and where, you could be most effective, very quickly with looking at what their situation is?
Yes, usually once I get in and get to talking with different departments and finding out their angles and finding out what they want out of the whole campaign, usually I can identify where these problems occur, and it isn't what a lot of cases what you see on the surface level. Sometimes you don't even understand who the target audience would be. That's majority of the case. That's the problem. You don't understand your audience. And if you don't understand your audience, you can't market to them. And so everyone has these trends and things that they've heard other companies do. And so we're going to do it too. And our team isn't doing it as effective as this other company, but they haven't identified the core problem is understanding that audience, understanding the need of that audience, and then speaking to that need, offering a benefit to that need, and then each department playing that part. Then you start uncovering what the real challenges are and how to address those challenges, which usually isn't as big as the initial problem that they came to me with. Because usually it's something small, a tweak of a word or two, like you said, in the marketing message, or SEO team isn't bringing results, but you're not tracking the results. And you find out you're not tracking, then you really don't know, or your website isn't converting because you're not asking for any leads. So, those type of things you uncover once you get the conversation started.
Well, I think that right there, what you just said is one of the reasons that I think a lot of these companies like working with you. Because the thing is, you work with companies that are already successful really in what they're doing. And a lot of your clients are breaking into new markets. They may be very successful in one thing and they're scaling, or they're maybe acquiring divisions and breaking into a new market. And what people are used to when they bring on consultants is almost opposite of what you bring. When people bring on consultants, it's almost like they brace themselves for the consultant to come back and say, well, I took a look and, well, it's worse than you may have thought. And, from hearing how you're helping these businesses, you oftentimes come back and say, well, it's not as bad as you thought. And in fact, it looks like you have the teams in place to be able to implement this. I'm going to just simply kind of coach them along and give them a blueprint of the strategies that will work, and they can easily take it from there to where, so many people are used to consultants. It's what do they call it? They come temporarily, but 5 years later they're still hanging around. But you get in and out, and you hand it over, where a lot of consultants want that golden handcuff. I can't give them too much because I need them to keep me around. Whereas you work very, very efficiently and quickly in giving their in-house teams the tools and the knowledge necessary for them to kind of take the reins.
That's true. I mean, my goal really is to set forth some processes that create a actual company, I would say lifestyle in a sense, but a culture. But you have a process or processes in place that are just a part of doing business now. Instead of coming in and identifying and giving recommendations, and then after you take certain recommendations, you hire me back to give you more recommendations. I understand that the marketplace will change. And, if you have a lifestyle, this is just what you do day to day, that you'll be able to adjust with it instead of this doesn't fit this, what they say, round, square peg in a round hole, and you're trying to force it. It's just a lifestyle. And now your company, this is your company culture. You are doing these marketing processes. You're being able to identify with your audience. You understand what your benefit is, not what you offer as far as product or service, but what the benefit would be. And then you're able to just get these processes in place. And I try to give you the resources and the mind frame to address it. And then from there, if I am retained again to come in and do some modifications and tweaks, it's not really a modification and tweak as a consultant. It's more of an add-on to what you're already used to doing, because the marketplace does change. So you will have to adjust, but it's a lot easier if you're adjusting. Prime example, if your marketing was MySpace changed their business model. So you would have had to change everything. But if your process involved social media, and you understood the concept of communication on social media and relationship building, it doesn't matter if it's MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, it doesn't matter. The principles are the same. The process is the same. The platform just changed.
Yeah, I think that's really important for folks to do, and especially like you said earlier, a lot of people are chasing. They're watching what other people are doing. They're trying to they're comparing themselves to what I call the highlight reels of other companies, thinking that they're doing that. We better do this, and which makes for a pretty nice life for consultants that do go in looking for billable hours, because every time something changes, it's a reason to charge more money, right? And with you and the principles, I want to get into how you're able to do this, because when they're a lot of companies, especially in the corporate environment, are used to consultants looking for more ways to get billable hours in by having their own desk right there at the company and working hand in hand, and oftentimes breathing over the shoulders of their staff. You take a different approach in how you work with folks through, sometimes it's even virtual strategy sessions to hand this stuff off. Talk a little bit about the mechanics of how companies can work with you outside of just one-on-one billable hours, and be able to save consulting dollars by letting their already in place staff, leverage that so that their in place staff can actually implement these strategies and these blueprints that you put together.
Sure. I mean, some ways that I accomplish that would be as I come in and I find out your process, and we work together to put a new process in place, recording, documenting, creating tutorials, online workshops. I don't really need to be in the office. We can do virtual, same as what we're doing right now, Jack. We can record a conference call with everything that you need, and you can then pass that on to the staff. We can create working sessions that your staff can then refer back to and understand based off of that. Providing you resources and vetting different automated solutions out there, so you can understand if this solution is beneficial for your company based on what they can provide your company versus based on what rating they may have received in the latest tech magazine. Because some automation may not be good for you. You may need some specialization, or you may not need everything that they offer. So things like that, coming in and working beside you as a partner, and then documenting everything so we can go ahead and transfer that knowledge, whether I'm sitting there or not. And that's really something that I strive to do with every company, because you're paying for the knowledge. And if you can't keep the knowledge with you in a tangible format, it's kind of hard to say that I've benefited you in that fashion.
I think, talking about that, it's really interesting when you look at the realities of this. And I know a lot of people out there that work for corporations, that are decision makers out there, that they know, and this is something that I think is just, genius, the way that you've been able to get in there and kind of plow through this obstacle that is very common, but not really talked about a lot, is that oftentimes in these corporate environments, it's more like the tail wags the dog, in the fact that companies that could benefit from consulting or knowledge, like that you provide for them, they don't get to use that. They don't get to even take a look at it, because the staff, whether it's the tech staff or the marketing staff, feels sometimes, I don't know what the word would be, threatened to a certain extent. They don't want someone coming in and judging or looking at what they're doing. And that's what I mean by the tail wagging the dog, that sometimes they can't benefit because of the staff not being cooperative, because they don't want somebody, treading on their territory. And the way that you do this, you are enabling their staff to I use the term for, lack of another term, take the credit for this. You're allowing their team to take what you've done and implement it in their way and in their department, and kind of make it their own, to where it's something that they feel good about, and it's not you looking and criticizing what they're doing, but you're actually helping them accentuate what they're doing by participating in the big picture. And I think that's just brilliant. Have you seen that where you've come in and you've had a little resistance from technical staff or marketing staff, thinking that you're more of an adversarial relationship, and how quickly you're able to show them that you're there to make them look good and to help them in actually contribute to the bottom line and the outcome for the company?
Yes, you're spot on. I mean, that has been some challenges in the past, to where everyone wants the credit, and I identify the fact that, okay, what's a benefit to you is the credit for it, and I don't mind giving that credit. I've had staffs work. SEO department don't want to point to social because they don't want social to get the credit for the traffic to the site. And, social don't want to do things for the search team because they, and really overall, you're hurting the company. You're not helping yourself, by hindering other departments, and you're both supposedly going toward the same goal. So having everyone understand that we're all in the same game and we're all going toward the same goal, and you bring what you're best at. Bring your ideas. That's why I love to hear your ideas. Bring your ideas. Let's see how we can fit it in. Take the credit. I don't mind that. Even if it wasn't your idea and it was my idea, I don't present it in a way that this is my idea. This is what will benefit the overall company, and this department has the ability to bring it because they are very talented. And so that's the approach. Now, I've noticed that works very well. Once you break through who gets the credit, who gets the blame, you're able to actually be productive. And so a lot of that comes with giving credit where credit's due. A lot of it comes with being humble, stepping back, and some of it comes with use case. Now, I'm not saying every day is a pretty day, because every day is not sunny. There's some times that I've received big pushback, but with anything, you show results, and then once the use case comes out, the results come, and the decision was made to not do what was recommended, and it wasn't favorable. It's just there. It's black and white. You can't argue with the numbers. So then it's not a thing where you come back and say, I told you so. It's just, okay, let's try to modify it this way and see how it turns out in the next X amount of time frame. And usually once it starts turning out positive, you don't pat yourself on the back. You say, hey, we're making progress. Let's take another step. Let's take another step. And that's how I usually approach people that give me pushback. And I've had pushback from everything from departments to project managers to executives, but it's how you react to the pushback that matters, not the fact that you receive pushback.
Well, yeah, I think that's what makes you a true influencer on here, because so many people focus on the tactics. They focus on the levels of, is it social media, is it SEO? And, you focus on the mechanics, and you said it best, the principles. Because once you get the principles, the platform can change, but you can always be successful applying the principles. Jeff, yes. How can folks find out more about what you're up to and your unique way of doing this and helping businesses?
Well, one way would be to go to my site, MrMarketology.com, which is MrMarketology.com. All my social platforms, Google Plus, not LinkedIn, but Google Plus, Twitter, and Facebook are Mr. Marketology. So you can search for me that way and find me. LinkedIn, I am actually Jeff Beale. So you'll find me at LinkedIn with Jeff Beale. And I actually have a marketing show called the Marketing Strategy Session that you can find on Google Plus I also post links to it on the other social platforms, and I have a mobile app, Android and iPhone, called Marketing Strategy Session, in which I provide different marketing strategies, resources, techniques. I have an opportunity to have discussions with other very, very, very honorable experts in the space that I enjoy doing, and they share their insights. So there are several ways to get in contact with me. Not hard to find. And of course, if you Google me, you'll find me as well.
Jeff Beale, Mr. Marketology, I want to thank you very much for being on Influencers Radio today. So, tremendous information. And I think you went much deeper than, the surface of what most people think the issues are, the problems are, and see that there really is an opportunity to have a solution that works for everyone. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, folks, there you have it. Jeff Beale, MrMarketology.com. Check it out. And until next time, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.